could start with your name.
My name is Ronnie Wright.
And how old are you?
I will be 55 this year.
And did you grow up in this neighborhood?
Yes, I did. 15th and Skidmore. Although I grew up in Northeast Portland, I had an aunt who lived in North Portland, and we all of my cousins went to Peninsula Elementary in North Portland, near Columbia Park.
Okay. And what are some of your, if I remember correctly, your family didn't go to this church.
No, we had, there were tons of people. The way Portland was back in the day was if I didn't know you, somebody I knew you. So all churches were kind of family. You knew people at churches, friends, extended friends and family. I went to House of Prayer for All Nations off of Mississippi and Skidmore, and as well as my grandfather's church, which was on Mississippi and Skidmore, and now on 30th and Wygant, Emmanuel Church of God in Christ United.
Okay. And did you come around this area when you were a kid much?
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, for us growing up here, we were everywhere in the neighborhood because you had family scattered through all out Northeast and North Portland. So it was nothing to be over here when this was called Mallory Church. So I remember those days.
And what were some of the things you remember doing here as a kid?
My father had a community choir actually called the Ronnie Wright Singers, and I remember singing in his choir here. So I've sang in here a few times and done a few other things in here, yeah.
Okay. As you know, we're trying to kind of figure out what this place has been, what this place is now, and what this place could be.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we're seeing a lot of is community is kind of rooted in service to each other.
Yes.
And kind of understanding like health through the wellness of each other. And what are some of the things that you think are important for an institution like this to be doing?
I think the most important thing is intimacy with the people, because the people make the church, or they make the community. Mm-hmm. And you have to have an authentic, real, intimate, personal relationship. That's what draws people in and empowers people to spread love around. I'm a firm believer in that intimate relationship. So that's what the church was growing up. No matter what you were doing during the week, you always had your community of churches. And even though I grew up in those particular churches, I was at almost every church, because again, at all the other churches were family and friends. Mm-hmm. So our families all were fairly tight-knit and knew each other fairly well. So I couldn't be anywhere in any neighborhood without an intimate personal relationship with somebody in the neighborhood that was family, that knew what I was up to and whoever I was with were up to. Mm-hmm. So I believe that's what this building can represent going forward in the future. I always like to quote our pastor when he says, "You don't hear a baby crying, the church is dying." Mm-hmm. That's what the opportunity of this place can be, is to create intimate personal relationships with the future, with their families in the future, offer things that they can do, and grassroots is very important here.
Mm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is wonderful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I think the only thing I would ask is if there's anything else you want to tell me that you feel is important. I think a lot of these interviews are trying to understand what's here, but it's like driving an agenda for the future.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't mind me being corny, yeah. I'm a firm believer that God is love, and that agape love is designed for each of us to give love away, right? We're like raindrops in still water. Everything we say and do causes a ripple effect, and we may not understand that. But that ripple effect amplifies out, and each person that it touches, it amplifies beyond that, right? And that goes back to the intimate, authentic relationship. It's like a parent, when something wonderful is done for them, they're gonna tell everyone else, right? Just word of mouth, like, you gotta get your child in here, or you gotta get your son or daughter or your cousin or friend in this program that's going on. It was wonderful. And that, I say, is so important, that if we recognize that everything we say and do has an effect on everyone around us, and then beyond them to everyone else, we would be more careful and cautious of how we approach people, but hopefully in the spirit of love, we would approach them authentically to create that amplified ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's probably the biggest thing to me. Give love away.
Yeah.
Love isn't love till you've given it away.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite songs.
I love that. And I think that's the danger of an institution becoming successful.
Yes.
You know, it's like one of the things that's wonderful about a church congregation or a community group is that it's not outward looking.
Yeah.
And then when you start to become an institution or successful, you have to kind of like, it's outward looking in a way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think you've been around doing things here, and I feel like what's so great about this place is its roots. It's not polished and like high tone, and it's about love and intimacy at its core.
Well, it's like an onion, right? I mean, with every great thing, you don't want to lose it, so you begin to protect it, right?
Yeah.
As you amplify it or you praise it. And the way you protect it is by building rules, institutions, regulations, synthetic things around it. And so you have to stop and really peel back the layers of the onion and get back to the core, to the root. It's authentic love. That's really what it is. You know, we remove the red tape, the bureaucracy, who doesn't like who, and we can weave through all of that noise and get to this quiet space of, I just gave you something literally from my heart. No questions asked, right? And we tend to call that agape love, like a sacrificial love. I expect nothing in return. I'm just giving you something. You know, you hope that within the great feeling of what that is, of a symbol of what that can be, what you hope is that you don't build layers around it. You hope that you allow for it to remain free so that you can continue to do exactly that. Continue to give love away. In whatever shape or form it may be. So can you imagine, I mean, how many single children that you can touch that they're going to amplify to so many other people? That, I think, is the key.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. As you were talking, I don't want to take too much of your time. It's so nice to talk to you, but I was thinking of, like, you know, I'm an artist, I'm a visual artist, I'm an organizer, you're a musician, you're a designer, and it feels like when it's bound to a maker, it gets kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's about the author.
Yes.
But like when it's out in the world as art or as something a body understands, it's authentic and love and, you know, that's where it just gets reduced to transaction. You mentioned you were a shoe designer. And it's like there's something that happens where there's authorship and all this negotiation and money, but then when there's something about a person with something on their body, it's real, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, the best stories, right? A part of a designer's job is to solve. And it may be a physical problem, mental, emotional, whatever it may be. The best solves is when you have true empathy, right? Like, if I could live your life for just a little while, I could probably strive to design for the solutions that you need based off of my expertise. And so, to your point, I mean, what's beautiful about art is it's my expression, it's my pure expression. You either like it or you don't. Where that knife that separates the bone from the marrow from design ultimately at the end of the day, it has to work. It has to functionally work in some way, shape, or form. But designers will always tell you, I'm trying to grab you emotionally. So, right? Because there's tons of stuff in the world.
Right.
What makes you pick what you pick? There has to be some type of emotional click that takes you to a different level to go, right? And that's where brand loyalty comes. And then in brand loyalty, where do you find in brand loyalty? The essence, I'm peeling layers back right here. In brand loyalty, you find authentic relationships, right? So, yeah, I work for one of the world's biggest companies. You know, to everyone outside, they see all these layers and these, you know, and they're hustling me and blah, 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 until they meet me. I'm not that brand. I am my own brand, representing part of that brand. So you and I can have a natural, authentic relationship about, you know, not me selling you anything, but let me tell you a story, right? an authentic story, and you can do the same for me. So then my job would be to take that and create an authentic relationship with you through product, right? Yeah. And so to me, I think that's the important thing about this conversation too, is there is a product here. There is, at the end of the day, that product is empowering people. And we didn't even touch on that one. That's a whole separate conversation of empowerment, right? Because, you know, I tell people at work all the time, some people say to me, I want a promotion, I want more money. And I tell them, you don't want that title, you want the power. The title is merely a reflection of you being empowered, right? And that's what this place can be. It can empower people so they understand their own power, and they'll see a title or a journey as a reflection of you giving them knowledge and experience and thus wisdom. Right. Then no one can tell them it doesn't matter what your title is. At that point, you've been empowered.
Yeah, it's the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so well put.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.